My name is Jonathan Ong. I'm Associate Professor in the University of Massachusetts, and this will be a joint video presentation between myself and Jason Cabañas, lecturer in the University of Leeds. Taking live questions will be Pamela Combinido of De La Salle University. So we regret not being there to physically attend the event, but we are nevertheless very much grateful for the organizers, including John Neri, for inviting us to this event and launch our report, Architects of Network Disinformation. So we look forward to the different questions and comments, particularly from our discussants in the ad and PR industry, but we also look forward to questions and comments from students, our fellow academics, and journalists in attendance today. So, today we are launching our report entitled The Architects of Network Disinformation Behind the Scenes of Troll Accounts and Fake News Production in the Philippines. This report is a product of the Newton Tech for Dev Network, funded by the British Council. The Newton Tech for Dev Network is a global consortium of scholars working on digital media in the developing world. Several of our network members are in physical attendance in your event today, including Cheryl Soriano, Clarissa David, and Sansan Lim. We invite you to visit our website, newtontechfordev.com, for a free download of our executive summary and the full 70-page report. So, our project is motivated by the question, which kinds of people sign up to become paid trolls? What are their personal motivations? Where do they come from? What are their social backgrounds? And how do they justify doing this kind of work to others, but ultimately themselves? In engaging with these questions, our aim is not to name and shame the paid trolls that we have met. Drawing from a production studies approach in media studies, our objective is to understand the broader system or environment that entices and incentivizes workers to slip into the digital underground. Our report is concerned with the vulnerabilities in the digital and creative industry, the mainstream media, and election campaign legislation that have enabled the normalization and even the professionalization of disinformation and fake news production. Our presentation is concerned with the architects of network disinformation, the diverse and loosely interconnected groups of hierarchized digital workers with varied social backgrounds and distinct work responsibilities. So, in the course of our 12-month field research in Manila, we conducted 20 interviews with various political operators, from elite strategists masterminding election campaigns to low-level fake account operators on Facebook and Twitter. We also did online observation. Disinformation architects sometimes gave us unprecedented access to the digital underground, supplying us even with passwords to some of the fake accounts they used in disinformation campaigns, both in the lead up to and the aftermath of the 2016 Philippine elections. Here we should note that following the protocols of university research ethics, we told our informants that we would disidentify information that could be traced to individuals. So we're not doing a journalistic expose, but here we want to understand the operations of disinformation campaigns and the system that enables it. So, what are our main findings? We argue that the problem of fake news and disinformation production goes much deeper than exceptional individual villains, because there is actually a professionalized but somewhat invisible system, what we call an architecture of disinformation. While the public's moral panics about fake news focus on notorious celebrity influencers such as Mocha Uson and their avid followers, derogatorily dubbed as troll armies, the real chief architects of disinformation hide in plain sight while sidestepping accountability. So, the chief architects of disinformation, we learned, were respectable faces as leaders in the ad and PR industry. Understanding this architecture means that we need to find brave and creative ways of challenging the system that has not only normalized political deception but made it financially rewarding. So, first, the chief architects. Occupying the top level of the hierarchy, Ad and PR executives play the role of high level digital strategists. They hold leadership roles in boutique agencies, handling a portfolio of corporate brands while freelancing for political clients on the side. Motivated by the challenge of proving their clout in a new and political and professional arena, chief disinformation architects use professional tools of the trade to fulfill their political clients' needs. They have a track record for launching Facebook business pages and maintaining engaged online communities from household brands to telcos to celebrities, and their skills are for sale. To justify their work, these chief architects often express discourses of fictionalization as well as experimentation. For example, one architect said, "It's like being Olivia Pope of Scandal," to fictionalize the dangerous consequences of their actions and block feelings of real involvement. Sometimes they also express a certain thrill in breaking or rewriting the rules of the game. At the mid level of the disinformation architecture are digital influencers, and there are two kinds. First are key opinion leaders. These are the high profile influencers with a recognizable public persona, acting like celebrity endorsers, if you will, supporting politicians. You have key opinion leaders like Mocha Uson supporting Duterte, but also those from the other side critical of Duterte. Our research focused, however, on anonymous digital influencers. And these are the operators of anonymous accounts. Um, if you can think about comedy pages, inspirational pages, snarky, humorous pages that you follow on Twitter and Facebook, they entertain their followers of between 50,000 to 2 million followers with a specific brand of hilarity or commentary while occasionally slipping in paid content into their feed. These influencers harness their astute understanding of the public's pop culture tastes, their political sentiments, and social media behaviors to become expert attention hackers. They work part time and per project alongside day jobs in IT, corporate marketing, or online community management. And they belong to the precarious aspirational middle class, taking on freelance digital work to achieve a certain kind of lifestyle. So, their justification is by expressing discourses of normalization. So, anonymous influencers say, "We do the exact same thing of encouraging our followers to retweet hashtags for soft drinks or new movie releases." What's the difference? At the bottom of the hierarchy, community level fake account operators do what we call script based disinformation work, the grunt work. Fake accounts post pre made content on schedule and actively like and share posts to meet a daily quota. More importantly, they create what we call illusions of engagement, a bandwagon effect that affirms and amplifies the key messages of a political campaign and encourage real, unpaid grassroots supporters and political fans to openly express their support for a politician. Most of the fake account operators we met were in it for financial rewards, freelancers paid on a daily basis for hitting their quota of social media activity.
Now that Jonathan has discussed the disinformation architects assembled by the ad and PR strategists, I want to discuss the process by which disinformation reaches the broader public. If you look at the infographic, you can see there's a dotted line separating the paid and voluntary supporters of disinformation campaigns. This denotes the porous boundary that separates the professional workers and grassroots intermediaries, like volunteers and fan club moderators. And in our report, we call this the disinformation interface. Here we can see the very close interaction between, on one hand, the disinformation architects who aim to generate momentum and energy for a campaign and to create illusions of engagement, and on the other hand, the unpaid grassroots intermediaries and real supporters who operate like political fans and amplify original campaign messages through shares and likes, even if they take them forward in their own ways. This leads us to our next point. Our report develops a model to understand the process in which disinformation campaigns move from the design stage to the implementation stage. And this model shows that the chief disinformation architects control the design stage. However, it also shows that their control is weakened at the implementation stage as they distribute political marketing responsibilities to influencers, fake account operators, the grassroots intermediaries, and the general public. That's why we theorize that disinformation campaigns are characterized by this tension between two principles of promotional communication. One is controlled interactivity, or the maintenance of message discipline throughout the digital political campaign process. The other is volatile virality, or trading message discipline in digital media campaigns for the message popularity that these can attain, even with all its unpredictable social consequences. As regards the specific stages of network disinformation production, they are, as a chief disinformation architect put it, very much like what you have in an ad and PR communications plan, and it's divided into three stages. The first stage of campaign plan designing involves identifying key campaign objectives, crafting core campaign messages, and identifying audience touchpoints. The second stage of Click Army mobilization is about identifying the right social media accounts to use in a campaign. This entails creating brand Bibles to construct bespoke Facebook fake accounts, but also tapping digital influencers' existing social media accounts that already have a large number of organic followers. The final stage is creative executions, which is when digital political operators translate and implement the campaign plan designs into social media posts that can weaponize the impassioned zeal of grassroots intermediaries and supporters. Here, influencers might use techniques such as trending and signal scrambling, as well as positive branding and digital black ops. What differentiates network disinformation production from a mainstream ad and PR campaign, however, is that it involves doing things that can have a pernicious effect on democratic politics. These include seeding revisionist history narratives to silencing political opponents to hijacking news media attention. Take, for example, trending and signal scrambling. In trending, the chief disinformation architects craft witty, memorable, and shareable campaign hashtags and then ask the digital influencers to use their existing Twitter accounts to make these hashtags trend at a certain time and duration. For signal scrambling, the chief architects craft decoy hashtags that the digital influencers disseminate to confuse and divide the people who support an opposing campaign's hashtag. The purpose of these techniques is to hack attention in social media and then subsequently in mainstream media as well. There's also digital black ops, which is when digital influencers are asked to contribute to intensifying attacks on the personal branding of their political clients' opponents. For this, the influencers often use what Benjamin Moffat calls a populist political style. They might bring up divisive issues that push grassroots supporters towards expressing anger for those on the other side of the political divide. Or they themselves might adopt in civil communication, using things like Filipino snark, wit, humor, and indignation to fan people's toxic feelings. Understanding that fake news is the outcome of a professional and hierarchical work structure rooted in the promotional industries of ad and PR tells us that we need to be more creative and collaborative in addressing our current toxic climate of information pollution. While media and civil society initiatives to blacklist fake news websites, expose fake accounts, and fact check the divisive celebrity influencers may be well meaning, they don't really treat the underlying causes of the problem. It's an open industry secret that ad and PR executives take on political sideline jobs. How can their industry peers hold them accountable for the impact of their actions? The development of a self regulatory commission that requires disclosure of political consultancies uh, is a good step towards encouraging the traceability and accountability of these digital campaigns within the ad and PR industry. We also want to propose regulation of the digital influencer industry, which is currently unregulated. There are no penalties for failing to disclose paid sponsorships. There are also new digital influencer agencies that have mushroomed in recent years whose objective is to maximize profits of digital influencers. We need to develop stricter industry self regulating mechanisms that encourage transparency and accountability among high profile and anonymous influencers whose feeds are for sale to the highest bidder. New national campaign finance legislation, what we call a Political Campaign Transparency Act, to finally get a clear picture of what politicians spend on digital campaigning, is also something that we strongly recommend. During elections, for example, politicians are required to disclose campaign spends on traditional media like TV and radio, but not for online and social media. The public has the right to know the quantity and quality of politicians' television and radio advertising materials, but also the viral videos, trending hashtags, and Facebook advertisements they purchase. We encourage journalists, civil society leaders, and academics to go beyond selectively shaming notorious influencers and exposing troll accounts while conferring hero status on others. Beyond high profile targets, we need to collaborate towards solving the bigger problem at hand. Paid troll work is an offer that simply become too good to refuse. While addressing the top of the fake news production hierarchy, we also need to look out, very importantly, for the precarious creative workers who might sign up for this kind of morally questionable work by creating industry sanctions and safety nets that prevent them from slipping into the digital underground. That's it for our presentation. Again, Jonathan and I are only very sorry that we can't join you all in person today, but we very much look forward to hearing about the insights from your discussions and any questions you might have for us. Thank you so much once more to all the organizers and to the panelists and to the different participants as well.